What's going on in the Strait of Hormuz? What's going on since the last live stream between Iran and the U.S.? Are we headed for peace or round two? So I want to welcome you to this informal talk about what's going on over there in the Strait of Hormuz. Welcome to the show. That's what we're going to talk about. Right off the bat, I've already got one destination, could not be started. I'm trying something new here, so if everybody could bear with me. I'm trying to get multiple streaming locations up and running. And I'll talk about that in just a second. I'm not sure if it's going to work. Oh, look at there. Looks like I'm live on Instagram as well. At least it appears to be live. So if you're just joining me on Instagram, I'm going to talk about what's going on over in the Strait of Hormuz. Is there any chance for peace? What's happened since the last live stream? Welcome to the show. So let me go around. It looks like I'm live on Instagram. I think I'm up and running on YouTube. Let's see, I see Robert. How are you? See my friend checking in from Mactan Island in Cebu. Okay, so just give me a minute to go around the horn. Usually I'm just streaming to YouTube. I'm not on any other social media, at least I wasn't until this morning. And my buddy basically said, look, dude, you're streaming to one platform. Why aren't you broadcasting it out there to everybody else? So I spent the day putting everything together. But it looks like I'm a no-go on Twitter because I don't have some type of professional account. Oh, look at there. It looks like I'm live on this thing called Twitch. I didn't even know what a Twitch was. Somebody said you got to go live on Twitch. I said, wait, what the hell is that? I had to look it up. But it looks like I'm live on Twitch. My goodness. So far, I'm 2 wins and 1 loss. Now let me go over to Facebook. I don't see no action on Facebook. Wait a minute. Okay, I see myself on Facebook. Holy moly, old single dad here. Single-handedly. You know, I'm the sound guy, the producer, the director. Now, it looks like it's a little tight. I probably need to back up some, but it looks like I am live on Facebook. Wow. Okay. Take a look at Instagram. Looks like I'm on Instagram. So that would be 4 out of 5 that is working out. But again, it looks like, when you do that portrait stuff I'm not used to, it looks like it's too tight. It looks like I got my arms cut off. Maybe I can put my arms in a little bit here. So too cool. Let me go back to your comments and see if everybody's comments are coming across. Man, I'm so proud of myself. I'll take 4 out of 5 any day. 4 out of 5 any day. I got to go back to work on Twitter tomorrow so I can tweet some shit out during the stream, be live over there. Elon Musk no-go'd me at this station. Let's see, Robert Morris, how are you? Good evening. JL Smithling, checking in from Mac-10. Hope everything's going well down there in Cebu. Russell, how are you? My friend checking in from Bataan. Got Hilton Head, South Carolina on station. Toriano photography. And Toriano TV. And, reporting that I can see you loud and clear on YouTube and Instagram right now. Holy moly. I just started going down rabbit holes this morning trying to connect the dots and get this puzzle put together. If I had to do it again tomorrow, I wouldn't even know where to start. It's a small miracle that I pulled this off. Okay, so, and what's pretty cool is on this software, it shows me what platform you're on. So I see Toriano Photography. Looks like you're watching from Instagram, or that's where you commented from. Toriano TV, looks like you're watching from YouTube, along with my friend Gary from Saskatchewan. Mary, how are you? checking in from Michigan. Got the Professor checking in from Koreatown. JXX checking in from Virginia. Stan checking in. How are you? So too cool. I see Instagram, YouTube. If anybody's on Twitch, again, let me make one more round. We'll start talking about the war. Okay, so I see myself on Instagram. Your comments from Instagram are coming in there, no problem. Now, I'm not sure if anybody's commented on this old Facebook stuff here. Again, I don't know how this stuff works, folks. My sole purpose for putting it together was just my buddy. Shout out to you, man. You pressured me into it, drug me out of the Stone Age, and said, "Fool, why are you not broadcasting on all these platforms?" I said, "Because I don't like Mark Zuckerberg." He's like, "Do you know how silly and backwoods that sounds?" Okay. So he pulled me out of the Stone Ages. Now I'm broadcasting to multiple platforms. But again, I was a no-go on Twitter. Elon Musk shut me down, no-go me. Somebody give me just a general audio check. If the audio is okay on all the platforms, let me know, because I have no idea how it sounds on Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, or what's the other one? See, I've already forgot. I'm a YouTube guy. I like posting on YouTube. Okay, so let's get down to business. What is going on over there in the Strait of Hormuz? Okay, look, I'm going to briefly put this up there because what I'm doing is streaming in dual mode, because they said, look, if you stream on Instagram, it's supposed to be that up and down stuff that I don't like. But I just followed the instructions. But what happens is when I put my map up there like that, you can't see it real well on the, well, you can't see me at all. But on that, what do they call that? I call it Facebook style, that vertical style. But as we can see, the Strait of Hormuz, the red arrows are tankers. And it looks like we have one, lining up, one in front of them that have exited. Now, I'd have to dig into it to 100% say that they did successfully exit, but I'm speculating like Ron Burgundy. And it got two right here. Looks like they're inbound because that's the route. If you want to come into the Persian Gulf, you've got to go around Larak Island right there. And then let's see, where's that? I got a map somewhere. Let me let you look at me where I can pull up that map, and I'll put it up on the screen for the record. So there you go right there. Wow, looks like the folks on the Facebook style, you can see that too. So if you're coming in, you go to the north of that little island, going south, going out of the strait, you go to the south of that little island. And this is what Iran has said is not safe, the hazardous area, which they have either mined or they're just bluffing and say that they have mined it. They say that they can't find the mines to remove them. Okay. So what has happened since our last stream? Well, let's go to DJT. Everybody knows on the last stream we had Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. They shot at some tankers. Poor folks from India getting shot at on the crew, according to them, after they had got permission. So we talked about that. And then since the last stream, looks like the U.S. Navy blew a hole in the engine room of one of Iran's cargo ships or tanker, whatever. I'll have to pull it up. And went ahead and seized that vessel. So we've got bullets flying from both sides. It don't sound like we're headed in the direction of peace. But let's put that on the screen right there. There's DJT's latest. And I'll just put it up there for the historical record. And then I'll go ahead and read, because folks on the Facebook style can't really see it. Iran decided to fire bullets yesterday in the Strait of Hormuz, a total violation of our ceasefire agreement. So at this point, everybody's quite clear, both sides, that the ceasefire has been violated. Okay, we'll talk about when is the ceasefire supposed to be up. And from our last stream, we all agreed that that's the timer right there. That's the countdown timer. Now, I guess I need to duplicate that over. Well, if you're in the Facebook style, you can't see it. It's 2 days, 14 hours, and 45 minutes, ticking down to the original or the deadline of the ceasefire. Everybody now is pretty much in agreement. Everybody's violated it. So let's see. DJT says many of them were aimed at a French ship and a freighter from the UK. That wasn't nice, was it? My representatives are going to Islamabad, Pakistan. They will be there tomorrow evening for negotiations. Iran recently announced that they were closing the strait, which is strange because our blockade has already closed it. You know, they're blockading the blockade. I'm blockading you. No, I'm blockading you. They're helping us without knowing, and they're the ones that lose with the closed passage. $500 million a day. The U.S. loses nothing. In fact, many ships are headed right now to the U.S., Texas, Louisiana, and Alaska to load up. Compliments of the IRGC, always wanting to be the tough guy. We're offering a very fair and reasonable deal, and I hope they take it, because if they don't, the United States is going to knock out every single power plant and every single bridge in Iran. No more Mr. Nice Guy. Look at there, all caps. No more Mr. Nice Guy. Okay, Mr. Nice Guy has left the building. They'll come down fast, they'll come down easy, and if they don't take the deal, it will be my honor to do what has to be done, which should have been done to Iran by other presidents for the last 47 years. It's time for the Iran killing machine to end. President Donald J. Trump. Okay, now we talked about this in the last stream. It is my belief. A couple things are my belief. Number one, the civilian government there, the clerics, they're not in charge. It's clearly the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. There's been a coup, whether it was yesterday, a month ago, 3 years ago, 3 decades ago. They're clearly in charge. And they're running the country. So you're going to negotiate with people who are not in charge. My analogy is you're negotiating with Uncle Joe to buy a car. You talk about the price, you take it for a test drive, you kick the tires, you go over there to pay up and get the title, and you find out the car is in Granny's name and she don't want to sell the car. It seems like that's what's going on. Okay, so what I've said all week, my suspicion continues to be that this gentleman here is the one who is in charge. Did I put that up on the map? Man, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Okay, so there you go. What I've pretty much said all week, that this guy here, he's the commander of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. And, you know, I try to see the positive in everybody. I mean, maybe he's the butcher of Baghdad. I don't know. But he did serve as the Minister of the Interior, according to Dr. Wikipedia, from 2021 to 24. He's had some civilian service. I'm just trying to see the positive in any situation. So I've been saying all week, this guy's who we should be negotiating with, whether he's a good guy or whether he's the butcher of Baghdad. You're going to negotiate with people who have zero authority and zero wasta. And, you know, my son says the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Okay, Henry, how are you? Checking in from Facebook. All right, cool. So I can see in my software, I can see who's commenting from Facebook, who's commenting from YouTube. And let's see, I can see who's commenting from Instagram. And what's the other one? It's Twitch, right? Again, I don't even know what a Twitch I know nothing about Twitch. I made an account. I connected the dots. And it does look like, let me check it. Yep, I'm on Twitch, and I look beautiful, if I do say so myself. Okay, back to the show. So I've been saying, you know, this guy's in charge. This is the dude that's in charge right here. That's the man running the country, whether we like it or not. So I want to get right down to the article here, and this just popped up. This just popped up right before I sat down. Drum roll, please. Boom. Right there. Now tell me if y'all can see that. I know if you're watching the Facebook style, you're seeing the picture that I don't want you to see. I want you to see the picture on the left. Changing of the guard. Islamic Guard takes full control of Iran, sidelines moderates and analysts. Now, this kuya right here looks a lot like that kuya right there. Okay? So, right there, Iran's hardline IRGC is effectively taking control of Iran's military and negotiation team over the weekend. Now, I don't think it happened over the weekend. This guy has been in charge, or the IRGC has been in charge for quite some time. This is the guy here in the driver's seat right now, unless somebody decides to take him out. Iran refuses to join the latest round of peace talks as Trump sends top envoys to Pakistan, claims U.S. has unrealistic demands. Again, they're wasting their time. This is the guy in charge, okay? Let's go ahead and get down into this article here. Again, the Islamic Guard takes full control of Iran and sidelines the moderates, according to analysts. I don't know how to get that thing off of there. You know what? Let me just read a little bit, and then I'll finally get the kuya's picture up there for you. Okay, Iran's hardline Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps leader has effectively taken control of Tehran's military and negotiation team over the weekend, analysts said. IRGC commander Major General Ahmad Vahidi. There he is right there, okay? And that seems to be the same gentleman that I've been putting up on the screen. And I'm not a betting dude, but I said if I was going to bet $1 or $5, that's my horse right there. Okay, it's as evident by Iran's attacks on ships trying to sail through the strait and Tehran's refusal to join peace talks with the U.S. this week. And this is coming from the Washington-based Institute for the Study of War, ISW. They're a think tank. Okay, well, they're thinking the same thing that a lot of us have been thinking since we started having these talks, right? And you didn't have to be a rocket scientist to come to the conclusion, just that, you know, the reports from a human aspect of it at the lowest level, the civilians aren't in charge because they try to appoint somebody. The IRG says, no, appoint this guy. They're just puppets, all right? The military's in charge. There's been some arguments behind closed doors about, hey, you guys are sabotaging the peace talks and everything else. This guy don't care. This dude right here is large and in charge. There we go. Let's see. The sudden shift to a hardline stance also shows that more moderate members of Iran's leadership, including Iranian Foreign Affairs Minister Abbas Araghchi, have been sidelined. All right, well, that's what we all been saying for weeks now. Well, I'm glad that the think tank confirms our suspicions. So he's in control of the military and the negotiation team. Okay. He had initially agreed to open the strait. The gentleman that we're talking about, he initially agreed to open it over the weekend, after reaching a consensus with the Trump administration. Okay, well, no, that's the foreign minister. The foreign minister had initially agreed, but the IRGC demanded it remain shut in the face of American blockade on Iranian ports. So again, you got the civilians cutting deals with DJT. They're useless because they're not the guys in charge. Vahidi reportedly received the backing of Iran's Supreme National Security Council secretary. He's also an IRGC veteran to control the strait, further cementing Vahidi's grip on Iran. Okay. Their fast attack ships remain Iran's main form of naval force in the key waterway. After, the Americans sank about 150 of their vessels of the conventional Navy. Iran attacked at least 3 ships trying to get through the strait over the weekend, signaling that the oil choke point remains closed, as hundreds of ships are still stuck in the Persian Gulf. And we put numbers up there yesterday. One of y'all said 900. Another stat said 2,000. I don't know exactly looking at the tracker, but anywhere 1,000, give or take a few hundred, still stuck in there, right? Okay, I'll take some comments right quick and make sure that everything's still operating in the green. Let's see, Daniel checking in from Pittsburgh. Ernest, how you doing, my friend? Good to see you. Coral C checking in from Jacksonville. Redneck and Peni. Okay, boom, Fisher Lord coming off the top ropes of the octagon. Okay, thank you very much, my friend. Now, it looks like I need to change a setting. It shrunk that down so we can't see the text. So old single dad is sort of a no-go at that station. I'll have to work on that. Maybe I'll work on it here in real time. You know what? Let me just click on that. Text box shrink. Text box dynamic. Whoa, my goodness. Okay, well at least you can see. At least you can see what was on the screen. Man, I need a film crew. I'm waiting on Hollywood to call. Just still waiting by the phone. So thank you very much, Fisher Lord. Thank you, my friend. Okay, so I'm going to take just a break, take a look. It looks like I got 64 folks here watching on YouTube. Make that 69. Thank you for joining us. Looks like I'm looking good. Let's go over here. Again, I'm a no-go on Twitter. Tried to plug it in. It didn't work. Looks like I'm still operating in the green on Twitch. And I don't even know how that Twitch works. I might be broadcasting to myself. I don't know. If somebody's on Twitch, leave me a comment just so I know that you are watching from Twitch. Looks like I'm still on Facebook. Let's see about that Instagram. Okay, looks like I'm still looking at myself on Instagram. Man, oh man, I'm proud of myself. Okay, so let me continue on with the article here for the record. Okay, Vahidi and say this Zolgadar's alliance goes beyond the military blockade, with the IRGC commander tapping his ally to join the Iranian delegation earlier this month. So again, this dude Vahidi has been calling the shots for quite some time now. Zolgadar was specifically sent to make sure the delegation was following the IRGC's command and that of the Iranian supreme leader, who ascended to replace his father at the pushing of the Islamic Guard. Zolgadar sent a complaint to senior IRGC leaders, almost certainly including Vahidi. I'll put it up there for the record. That Arachi, the foreign minister, had surpassed his mandate during the negotiations by expressing flexibility regarding Iran's support for the axis of resistance. So again, the foreign minister, he's up there trying to put something together. He's out of his lane. He's stepped outside the box. He overstepped his authority. And he's not the guy in charge. He's just not. All right, what else we got up here? One last little paragraph there for the record. So Zolgader's anger, and again, this is how you really learn what's going on. You got to break it down to the human level, how the humans interact, the chismes around what's going on at ground level. You know, you could easily read up when you didn't have to be a rocket science to know when Trump and Elon had their falling out. It was quite obvious they were about to have a falling out, right? So let's see. Zolgader's anger caused senior leaders in Tehran to call the negotiating delegation back to Tehran, the think tank added. So this is coming from the think tank. But if you go back to what J.D. Vance said, he said it was very apparent early on into it that the people we were meeting had no authority to make any type of deal. All they were was messengers. Hell, we could have been texting Tehran and saved everybody the trip. Vahedi's alliance has ultimately made him the top decision maker in Iran, apart from Khamenei, who has yet to make a public appearance since he was injured during the initial U.S.-Israeli airstrikes that killed his father and other top officials. Okay, so again, there's my man right there. There he is right there, Vahedi. And look at there. I wasn't putting the stuff on the screen. There you go right there for the record. Back to me there. Push the right buttons, man. Okay, this puts Vahedi in the IRGC above Arachi and Iranian parliament leader Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, who, despite their anti-American rhetoric, are considered moderates. The state of affairs undermines Arachi and Ghalibaf's negotiations with the U.S. as they lack leverage or formal executive authority to shape decision making. Okay, maybe this think tank was tuning into our broadcasts and our conversations, because basically they're summarizing what most of us have been discussing for hours every day for the past couple weeks. It also undermines statements from the Trump administration that the U.S. was dealing with the reformed regime after killing dozens of top Iranian officials during the war. All right, so there you go, folks. There you go. Just quick update that at this point we're not the only ones who suspect and have come to the conclusion that this is the gentleman right here who's in charge of the country of Iran. You want to call it a military dictatorship? There was a coup. I don't care what you call it, but if you want to negotiate with the person who has the power to actually follow through on the negotiations, that's the dude in charge. Now, being that he's in charge of the IRGC, would I bet my money that he really wants to give up on anything? I don't think so. So Trump's putting out this narrative, which obviously is not true. I'm not saying that's a negative thing, because all warfare is based on deception. He's got to shape public opinion. He's got to fool the enemy. We wouldn't expect anybody to be putting out true information during operational phases of a war. So, but everything he says is just, it's not true. no matter what you say, that the negotiations are going, or which direction they're going, what they agreed to, you're talking to the wrong people. You know, my analogy, Granny owns the car, the title's in her name. Why are you still talking to Uncle Joe about buying the car? He can't sign the title. Wasting your time. Okay, so that's just the first article that I saw. I wanted to get that into the record, you know, to follow all the conversations that we've had over the past week. All right, and with that, I'll take sort of a pause and take a look at your comments here. Let's see. Maximus, how are you? Let's see. TK, how you doing? Todd Evans. King B checking in from Hormuz City. What's funny, I'll tell a compressed story, is that I was in Tacloban trying to get back to Hormuz. And I told dozens of van drivers, I'm going to Hormuz. They were just like, well, you know, Hormuz? They didn't know Hormuz. Yeah, man, Hormuz. I just came from there. Come on, y'all know where Hormuz is. I thought they were playing a joke. I wasn't saying it properly. You can't say Hormuz in a redneck accent. They didn't understand me. You have to say Hormuz. Once I got it down, Hormuz. Okay, everybody knew where I was going. But don't say, yeah, man, I'm just going down the road to Hormuz. They don't know. You got to pronounce it properly. Let's see. JXX, where are the links to the other streams? If you're on YouTube. I can see you're commenting from YouTube. They're in the description of the YouTube video. Now there's 5 down there that I thought I had hooked in. I got 4 up and running. I got no good on the Twitter feed. I got to go back to the drawing board tomorrow morning. Elon Musk shut me down, but I got 4 out of 5 up and running. So check them out. Somebody let me know how's the audio on those other platforms, because, you know, I don't like Facebook and Instagram because I don't like Mark Zuckerberg. But, you know, shout out to my buddy, man. You brought up a good point, dude. Why aren't you going live on multiple platforms like everybody else? I don't like Mark Zuckerberg. There's no excuse. Let's see, Dave, how are you? So pretty cool. Everything seems to be operating in the green. Okay, so let's see, AUD Tom 52. The bottom line, the dude's in charge, talking tough, but respect one thing only: brute force, waste of time negotiating. I highly agree with you, because they're so close to joining the nuclear club. So close, yet so far. You know, before DJT hit them, I mean, they were almost experiencing the thrill of victory. Now everybody's got to take note, sit up and listen, and treat us, you know, a little more better, a little differently. So they tasted the agony of defeat, but they're down for the count, but they're not out. Everybody in all the reporting says that there's around 440 kilograms of enriched uranium to a 60% level that's in a gaseous form in cylinders that's buried underneath that rubble. Now, I'm not a nuclear scientist, okay? I'm not a nuclear physicist. I'm just playing one here on YouTube for about 2 minutes, so bear with me. What I can do is read, all right? So this is what I read. it seems that those cylinders appear to be intact and they're underneath the rubble. Now, at a 60% level, it's a very short step to get to 90%. Next step is building a bomb, which estimates say that's the equivalent of about 10 nuclear weapons. Do we really think that this guy, who is a military man, is voluntarily going to give the enemy 10 nuclear weapons? The material to make 10 nuclear weapons. I do not think that he is going to cooperate with that suggestion. And why would he? Nope. So that's never going to happen. DJT's position is you're never going to have a nuclear weapon, which I'm in agreement with. I don't want the numbers of countries that have nuclear weapons to have them right now, but they do. But do we as humans really need anybody else joining this damn club, especially these guys? Yesterday, the Indian crew on that ship, all they had to do was tell them, hey, turn around. You didn't have to shoot at them. You didn't have to scare the shit out of these poor guys. They did. Because they don't care. They're sending a message to the U.S., to the media, to DJT, hey, we're in charge. So do I want this guy right here to have 10 nuclear bombs? No, I do not. But is that gentleman going to say, yeah, come on over. Come on over. We'll give you 440 or whatever it is kilograms of enriched uranium, and so now we can't build a bomb. Meanwhile, you guys have been bombing us. It don't make no sense, right? That dude's not voluntarily going to give up anything. So I agree with my friend Tom52. If this guy is truly in charge, which I believe with all my heart that he is, he's not going to negotiate his brute force. The only thing left is to fight, unfortunately. I pride myself on being more of a peace activist these days. That's not what I would prefer. But I don't see this gentleman budging on any of the points. Okay, all right, so they take him out. Say they take this guy out. It's whack-a-mole with these guys. Who's going to pop up in his place? I said in the last live stream, if there was a perfect world where you could wave a magic wand and the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps went away just like that, okay, well, you'd probably be able to negotiate with the civilian government. The other factions of the military would possibly and probably fall in line and might have a peaceful solution to it. But I don't see that happening with these folks being in charge. You're going to have to dismantle the entire organization. Not just sinking their navy. You're going to have to take out and degrade the entire Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, however long that takes or what it looks like. Because they're not going to give up. They're not just going to say, yeah, here, come on over here. We'll shake hands and be friends. You can use our bulldozers and backhoes and loaders and excavators. And we'll just all sit here while y'all dig up, some national pride to it, right? And we're just going to give it to you and surrender. I don't see that happening. Okay, Sandbin Explorer, how you doing? Sometimes messages do not get through on the chat. I sort of noticed that too. I'd look at the YouTube thing and I might see a couple of messages that don't make it through the software. Yeah, think that happens at times. I'm still trying to figure all this stuff out. Let's see, Tika, how are you? Well, is the strait still closed? Yeah, it seems to be, but with that caveat that it looks like this ship right here just came through there. I'd have to lay the track to say that that's the case. But it seems like this guy here is lining up to exit, going along the same route south of this island. That's the route going out. And then here's a couple right here. Look to be coming on in there. So, you know, it's just like it's been from the beginning. It's mostly closed to everybody they don't like, with a few exceptions of whoever's, you know, paying or sending them some damn Bitcoin or whatever the hell they're doing. And look, again, I had the wrong button. Okay, I was trying to put those on there for the record. Can y'all see those now? There you go. Again, it looks like there's two that are inbound. This guy seems to be headed outbound. This dude right here seems to be well on his way. Again, so is it closed? It's closed to whoever, most everybody except onesies and twosies, and they're probably paying some bribes to somebody. Yeah, they must have paid some type of toll or something. Yeah, as far as I know, I don't have any chat filters set. You know, if you're just looking at the YouTube, what you got live chat or you got top chat. So if it's set on top, it filters out a lot of that. I always set it to live so I can see them all. But maybe there's some type of filter coming into this software. I don't know. All I know is my brain is so fried from resurrecting all these old social media, all these old profiles, trying to find passwords, trying to get this shit to work. But I'm proud of myself. I hooked them all up except for Twitter. I'll try to figure that out tomorrow. Okay, so let me go around the horn here on, let's go to Al Jazeera. And the one that I pulled up when we started, Tehran will skip talks as tensions rise over U.S. ship seizure. Well, they're skipping the talks because Vahidi said, you know, we're not interested in talking. Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson says the government has no plans regarding a new round of talks after the United States seized an Iranian flag cargo ship. The attack comes hours after U.S. President Donald Trump announced that he is sending his team to Islamabad for possible talks with Iran, wasting his time. So again, if you're just joining us, there's an Iranian flag container ship that tried to run the blockade. Looks like the U.S. Navy put a few rounds into the engine room. Then some U.S. Marines boarded it, which obviously the Iranians aren't too happy about. Iran's military is vowing retaliation for armed piracy. Apparently they don't understand the definition of piracy themselves. Okay, so I've harped on this all week, but I'll retap it if you're just joining us. I'll go ahead and scroll out here. If I live up here in, say, Kuwait, and I got my old boat, the One Muff Diver, all right, and I want to put a cooler of beer on board, I got my uniform of the day, which is like a navy blue Greek captain's hat, and I'm wearing a Speedo OD green at the helm. I fire that thing up and I want to go fishing out here in the Gulf of Oman. And these guys say, hey, you got to get our clearance. You got to ask us for permission to cross and go out and go fishing. Well, I'm a redneck. My response on the radio would be, go fuck yourself. And oh, by the way, you got to pay us $2 million. And go fuck yourself. Oh, by the way, why? Why would I have to pay you because you're on this side of this waterway? There's a bunch of other countries over here on this side that aren't asking me to pay them. Why the fuck do I got to pay you pirates? And the only thing I can think of is that the Iranians are being educated that this is the Bay. This is the Bay of Iran, that all the land touching that body of water is Iranian territory, which would make sense. It's their bay. But somebody needs to call Vahidi and say, look here, dog. Okay, look here, dog. You do know that on the other side of that Gulf or some other countries, and why the fuck should y'all be in charge just because ships have to come past your waterway and pay you? You're no different than the Somali pirates who are down here. You drive too close to their coastline, they jump on board, they point an AK-47 at the captain, call the company. Okay, get the company on the line. We want $2 million, or we're going to hold your ship. It's a hijacking. It's piracy. It's just thieves. They're just thieves on boats. That's all they are. Pirates. What's the difference? And then having to pay these guys pointing an AK-47 at the captain versus these assholes up here, these pirates up here, pointing drones or 50 cals or whatever they got pointed at the ship. They're all pirates. It's just that these pirates are more greedy than the Somali pirates, and they have bigger and better weapons. There's no difference. Just greedy and reasonable pirates. I've sort of branded them the greedy pirates of Iran. They're pissing me off because if I want to move over there, I want to get my boat, I don't want to ask your permission to go fishing, or if I got a girlfriend down here in Somalia and want to go visit her, old big booty girl, I don't want you to even talk to me on the fucking radio when I come past your coastline. And oh, by the way, what they did, pull the map up here. Hold on a second, I'll pull my map up. What they did is engineer the conditions where people have to go past their coastline. The old route was here, which is closer over here to Oman and the UAE, right? So they could argue, we're not in your waters, we're over here in their waters. How do the greedy pirates of Iran fix the situation? They mine this box area right here, or they alluded to the fact that they've mined this area and created uncertainty and fear. So now, okay, this is a hazardous area because we fucking mined it. And so if you want to come in, this is your entry. Way up here, definitely on their side. And then if you exit, you go to the south. It was just straight up highway robbery. They're just thieves. They're just simplistic gangsters. But they created these conditions. We were talking yesterday how this is nothing new. Somebody asked, well, have they really got mines? Have they really mined shit before? Yes. They mined shit back in the 80s. There was a thing called the tanker wars. A tanker did hit a mine, and then a U.S. Navy ship hit a mine and almost sank. Sailors fought fire and flooding for like 5 hours to get the thing under control. So wonder it didn't sink, from what I read. So they have a history of actually doing this. So if they say we mined that area, you have to take them serious. And then one of their stories was, yeah, we mined it and we forgot where we put the mines, so we don't even know where to go clear them. So who knows what to believe from the greedy pirates. But I will say this, okay? Look, to think that Trump doesn't know exactly who's in charge. Come on, Trump knows who's in charge. All right. He can read, he can interpret reports. He knows and has known that dude right there is in charge. If we know it, he knows it. What does that tell you? Does it tell us that this big long song and dance that we've been debating every day is just all part of the plan? Okay, round one, you hit them, you hit certain targets, degrade certain stuff. We'll go ahead and do this, 2-week ceasefire. That'll give you guys in the military time to rearm, reload, and then we'll make it look like we gave them every fucking chance in the book to come to the peace table. But the real plan was never about peace, because DJT knows that he's not negotiating with the right people. He knows this guy's in charge. I mean, it just all fits. It just all comes together. I mean, these negotiations are supposed to be going down. He sends the vice president over there, and then what happens? He's at a UFC fight. He don't give a rat's ass. Why? Because he's known the whole time. This dude's in charge. They're not going to give in to anything. 2 weeks, we hold up our end of the bargain. The Iranians didn't. And now here comes not Midnight Hammer, but Operation Dawn Sledgehammer. The gloves come off. And you can say, hey, I gave you every chance. The world, hey, yeah, well, they did give him a couple weeks. Now this guy's come out, and it's coming out that, yes, he's in charge. Again, probably the butcher of Baghdad. I'll have to read up on the guy. And so is it all just falling into place? Is it all falling into place for round two? And I would say that everybody is getting in place for round two. It's not what I'm hoping. I'm not hoping that at all. It just appears that all the actors and all the players are going through the motions. Oh, by the way, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. The Iranians made statements that we read on the last live stream that, hey, they've been reloading too. And they were even bragging. We reloaded our shit faster than you can reload your shit. I don't have that article pulled up, but it was on yesterday's talk. They're bragging that they're already reloaded. We reloaded faster than you, so everybody's just had 2 weeks to reload. So what do we think is going to happen from here? All right, 1417D says all rednecks love Trump. Kel says an Iranian container ship returning from Asia was attacked and stolen by American pirates in the Sea of Oman. Okay, that from the Iranian perspective and a lot of folks' perspective, that would be an accurate headline. I think the big takeaway is if all this right here belonged to Iran, and this was the Bay of Iran, all this territory belonged to them, the U.S. would definitely be the bullies. I mean, an objective person would have to look at it and say, "Hey, dude, that's their country. What are you doing? That's the Bay of Tehran or the Bay of Iran or whatever you want to call it." But it's not. There's other countries on the other side of the water, Mr. Vahidi. It's not a bay. All right? What gives you the right to control any of these folks who own a boat and want to fucking go fishing in the Gulf of Oman? You're delusional. Therefore, they're the fucking pirates. But I will concede that if this was a bay, okay, that's their place. It would be straight up imperialism. But What about all these countries here? What about all these folks here? What about their feelings? What about their access to go get on their pontoon boat and go fishing, or go down to Somalia and visit their girlfriend? Okay? And again, I'm pushing the wrong buttons. I'm sitting there using this map as a reference, and I got to get better at that. Okay, the point is, this is not the Bay of Iran. There's other countries over here, and these greedy pirates don't seem to recognize that. They want all that money. Want that money. Well, according to my Filipino old lady, her assessment of the situation was too much blah, blah, blah. Just bound them already. That was several days ago. She's tired of hearing the shit, right? When you can't come to an agreement and people aren't willing to give up ground, what's left? You fight. And then whoever wins gets to make the rules. And then they get to try the war criminals. Decide who is war criminals. They get to decide the ink on paper. So arguing war crimes, international law, maritime law, nobody gives a shit when bullets are headed your way. Just ask that Indian crew. Okay? They weren't worried about ink on paper. They were worried about getting the fuck out of there and not getting shot. So, where does it go from here? Where does it go? It does not look like it's headed towards some type of negotiated agreement, as DJT has alluded to. All right, let me make my rounds to the various news sources. If you're just joining me on the first show, I don't have any news source that I'm loyal to. I just open up 15, 20 tabs and I read the headlines, the titles. I don't believe anything, but in the same sense, every news source they have dedicated followers who believe everything they put out. But that's not me. I don't have any one source. But with the Middle East, obviously Al Jazeera seems to put out the most information, the fastest. Okay, so going into the last live stream, because of the news, oil prices had dropped down below $90 a barrel. Now 31 minutes ago, oil prices surge amid mixed signals on U.S.-Iran peace talks. Iran's military vows retaliation for armed piracy. So you basically got pirates accusing other pirates of piracy. Again, it's from whose perspective you look at it from. And I look at things from everybody's perspective. Okay, let's roll over here, go around the world here. Again, if you're just joining us, the U.S. Navy fires at and boards an Iranian-flagged cargo ship. And I think we got a video here, or some video. Where is it at here? Oh, there you go, right there. That's from CENTCOM on their Twitter. Scroll down a little bit here. So that was 5 hours ago. U.S. Marines depart amphibious assault ship USS Tripoli by helicopter and transit over the Arabian Sea to board and seize the MV Tuska. The Marines repelled onto the Iranian flag vessel April 19th after guided missile destroyer USS Spruance disabled Tuska's propulsion when the commercial ship failed to comply with repeated warnings from U.S. forces over a 6-hour period. Okay, so they gave him 6 hours. 6 hours of talking, and I've talked about this story many times throughout these talks. This old gentleman who was a sort of a mentor when I was in the police academy as a young buck, and this dude was in his 80s. You know, he wasn't even a teacher. He just showed up every now and then, gave a little pep talk, you know, told stories of way back in the day. He'd been policing so long, you know, it was before, might get my case law messed up here. Been a long time and many beers. Before Tennessee versus Gardner, when they said you can't shoot fleeing felons in the back anymore. Well, he was policing back when if somebody ran from you, you just shot them. But he said basically that police work is basically simply explain that there's a problem and you have 3 courses of action. You can ask somebody to do something, they comply. If they don't, you have to tell somebody to do something. If they don't comply, you have to make somebody do something. He said that's police work. Ask nicely, F you. Okay, now I'm ordering you, F you. Okay, now it's hands on. There's nothing, there's no other options. Those are the courses of action. You can apply that to politics. Somebody said you can apply that to raising children. Will you please clean your room? They don't do it. Go clean your room. They don't do it. If you don't clean your room, I'm going to take away the iPad. So anyhow, ask, tell, and make. So these sailors, U.S. Navy, asked them and told them over 6 hours, according to U.S. Central Command, to turn around or whatever they were telling them to do. They didn't do it. So we got past the asking nicely and then telling, giving direct orders, and now you get some rounds into the engine room and you get boarded. Go to the make phase of what that old gentleman explained to us. Okay, flight deck of the USS Abraham Lincoln during U.S. naval blockade operations. Okay, so here's the article here. So for the record, let's just get into a little bit more about what happened. Okay, so again, Iranian flag cargo vessel trying to sail toward an Iranian port. USS Spruance intercepted it as it transited the North Arabian Sea at 17 knots. Issued multiple warnings, informed them they were in violation of the blockade. And then the Spruance were kind enough to tell them to evacuate the engine room. Fired several rounds from a 5-inch Mark 45 gun into Tuska's engine room. U.S. Marines from the 31st MU Marine Expeditionary Unit later boarded the non-compliant vessel, which remains in U.S. custody. So far, U.S. forces have directed 25 commercial vessels to turn around or return to an Iranian port. And I think that's the actual video that they posted of the interdiction, if I'm not mistaken. So gave them 6 hours, and the captain and crew of that Iranian ship, they weren't having it. I mean, you know, you got to hand it to them. They got some balls. The U.S. Navy sitting there telling you to heave to for 6 hours, and that dude's still hammered down, headed towards Iran. And he was probably told by the IRGC, don't fucking comply. They're more afraid of the IRGC than they are the U.S. Navy. So they were just doing what they were told. And truth be told, it probably worked out well for the crew. You know, they call old Vahidi and say, hey, we followed orders. We put the hammer down. We kept rolling. They shot the damn engine up, man. Ain't nothing we can do. We're still loyal. Okay. And there's some audio to that as well. I'll go to your comments for a second. Shout out to my buddy. He says, man, when you do a live stream, you talk too damn much. You talk too much, you talk too fast. That's why your voice goes out in 30 minutes. Slow it down. Let's slow it way down. Boom, got the professor off the top ropes of the octagon. I'm worried about the sailors and soldiers, the crappy food they have to eat. Looks worse like North Korea. Okay, and I'm gonna add this to broadcast, and it might just not. Okay, well, at least you can read it. It's a little bit. Okay, let me just fix this right here where it looks nice. How about that? Does that look a little bit better? So yesterday what we were discussing was there were some articles floating around where somebody on board reportedly on one of the ships took a picture of some chow that was substandard and then sent it back to their mama, and their mama tweeted that shit out, and it made its rounds in the news to the point that the Secretary of War had to issue some statements, you know, about their quality of chow aboard the ships. There's several things come to mind. Number one, you're sort of in a war. Why does every sailor need a fucking iPhone so he can send pictures of his chow that he don't like back to his mama? I mean, several things come to mind. Number two, okay, it was some carrots. It looked like, you know, some shredded meat and a slab of Spam or whatever. Okay, it wasn't exactly the fucking buffet at the Conrad. I will agree to that. But did anybody tell these guys, hey, you're sort of in a war zone? There's a lot of other things to worry about other than taking the time to tweet that shit out or send those pictures back to your mama and then create problems for the entire fucking system because you don't want to fucking suck it up and drive on. So I look at things a little bit differently. We just got too many pussies in the United States of America these days. Yep, I said it. And you know what? You go down to Tundo and offer somebody that, they'll be glad to take that tray of food that dude's complaining about, or that gal. I don't know who sent it. A lot of people around the world will be glad to have that meal. You're in a damn war zone on a warship, tweeting shit out to your mama. If that's the general consensus, we got no chance. No chance against the Chinese. Santee Todd says, obviously never lived off of MREs. Me and my buddy were discussing it, and we said, you know what? Okay, just to fight fire with fire, you know what, ma'am, you're absolutely right. That is a substandard meal. All we're going to do now until the end of this conflict is fucking issue out MREs so all the sailors will get have a proper diet like the soldiers and the Marines do at times. There you go. You talk about a dude going to take an ass whooping if everybody want no more hot chow. That's having to eat MREs fucking 3 times a day. Yeah, there'll be some claims. Those fucking carrots traumatized me. See, Smooth Trucking, how are you? Hope you're doing well. Let's see, Mike and Glad, how are you doing? The game, or the end game, starts this week. Power plants, bridges, and telecommunications eliminated. You know, we talked about it. It's pretty easy for anybody. You know, this gentleman here, who I believe to be in charge, the think tank agrees. Pretty easy to be cocky when you still have electricity and run water. Now the internet has been blocked over there, I guess, the whole time. But it's easy to be cocky when pretty much everything is still operating. I don't want to say as normal. Yeah, a lot of people have gotten killed. There's a lot of damage, but not to the extent that round 2 could bring them. And again, I'm not wishing that shit on anybody. But round 1 seemed to have been very targeted at military targets. They're checking targets off their target list, which has sort of allowed the cockiness. But they go over there, and this dude ain't got no electricity and no run of water. His wife and kids are toting around water jugs. It's a different mentality. It's like my buddy and I were discussing, okay, the Middle East, they're sending rockets hitting all the countries around the Persian Gulf. It's scary. People are dying. People are getting hurt. But you know what? The damn Starbucks in the mall is still open. There's still air conditioning. You see what I mean? That's a whole lot different than if the whole region or the whole city had no electricity or running water. So we'll see what happens this week. Okay, good point, Mike and Glad. That food video was bullshit. You pick what's put on your plate. I served and can tell you with 100% certainty that was not all they had to offer, but what he chose to put on his plate and photograph. Exactly, it was staged. Maybe he was pissed off because they ran out of Thousand Island at the salad bar and chose to express his displeasure with the system. Maybe they were out of chocolate ice cream. Look, I don't have a problem with troops complaining. They all complain. Everybody complains. The old saying, how do you know the troops are okay? Well, they're complaining. If they stop complaining, then you start worrying about them. But there's a difference in complaining amongst yourselves and joking about that shit or bitching on board the ship or on the fob versus taking a picture of that shit and sending it out to your mama, and now everybody's in a big uproar because we've become a society where everybody gets a trophy. Our 18th place winners, they were out of chocolate ice cream. They only had vanilla. All right, we got Toxic Totoro in the house. Thank you very much for joining us. Look forward to your commentary. Bring it on. Guitar Jams, how are you? Okay, bad food equals bad morale. Okay, that's true. But you can't always have it your way. You're not always going to get hot chow. That's the way it is. When you signed up, you would tend to think that people would acknowledge that if you have to go to war, you're not going to be living at the Hilton eating the damn buffet. Did everybody forget there's sort of a war going on over there? There's rounds flying, there's missiles going back and forth. These drones actually blow up. And yet we've sat here and taken 15 minutes arguing about some spam and some fucking carrots. Okay, so I'm going to take the time to go around the horn here. Okay, if you're just joining me, I'm streaming on YouTube, which, YouTube's my main channel. That's what I do. Got 81 folks here on my YouTube channel. thank you very much for joining me. But I spent the whole day connecting the dots for 4 other platforms. When I tell y'all I'm not on Twitter or Facebook, Instagram, I ain't been on none of this shit for years. But, you know, I had profiles and handles from years ago. So I spent all day trying to resurrect this stuff where it would actually work. And so it looks like I'm successful on Twitch. Now, Twitch, I didn't have that from years ago. I didn't even really know what it was. I've heard of it, but I still don't get it. I don't know. It's just another live streaming platform. Can you post videos there? I don't know. But I'm looking at myself on this Twitch. So does that make me a Twitcher? So funny, people. You're nothing but you're just a YouTuber. Well, I post on Rumble too, right? Does that make me a Rumbler? Now I'm a Twitcher? Looks like I'm still live on Facebook. I don't know if anybody's commenting. I can't see the comments on the Facebook thing. I'm gonna have to figure that out. I go to Instagram and I'm still seeing a picture of the general up there. So I don't know if we're still live on Instagram or not. Maybe there's just some type of delay going on with the Instagram. So if you're watching me on Instagram, can you leave me some comments? Okay, there it is. Now I'm back. So there seems to be some type of maybe 15-20 second delay on Instagram. But it looks like I'm still in the green. Okay, David, how are you, my friend? Hope you're doing well. See, secret. Is that bass rigs or base rigs? Okay, Buchanan Sleeve says Iran has been killing Americans for 47 years and now enough is enough. Well, you know, my generation, we grew up listening to this shit. You know, at an early age, or too early to really understand what was going on. So the younger generation out there commenting, you gotta understand, we've heard this shit since we were kids. There's always something about Iran did this. This ain't nothing new to us. The only difference is back in the 80s, we didn't have the technology where I could sit there and stare at this map in real time and sit there and really see how many tankers come and go. You know, you just listen to the news reports about shit going on in Iran. Hostages, Iran. I mean, it was all the time, right? So this ain't nothing new for my generation. Let's see, Lee Chan Bad Boy 6'9"er. Good evening, how are you? Okay, cool. So it looks like I got somebody watching from Twitch. I'll put that on the screen. So I think you're checking in from Twitch. I'll put that on the screen right there. So it looks like I'm good to go on Twitch as well. Man, I'm excited. Thank you very much, my friend. And again, on the software, I can see what platform you're commenting from. It's real tiny, but I can see it. Most folks here from YouTube. Let's see, you got Rich Buong in the house. Kudipo Buong, how are you, my friend? Jay Perry says, I lived off of sea rats that were canned during World War II in 1978 while overseas. Okay, and again, I'm sure there were a lot of complaints. Unless you were really hungry, probably wasn't much complaints. But back then, you didn't take a picture with your iPhone and tweet that shit out back to your mama and then have to have the Secretary of Defense, now the Secretary of War, have to address all the worried mothers. And it's kind of strange that how safety has become such the forefront of everything. You know, it's my job to keep them safe. It's my job to keep the troops safe. Whatever happened to mission accomplishment is 51% and welfare of the men is 49%. Whatever happened to that? Now it's all about keeping everybody safe. That's not their mission. It's like this one lieutenant colonel said. He said, if my mission were to keep my men safe, we wouldn't leave North Carolina and I would accomplish my mission. That's not our mission. Again, if we have to go against the CCP force on force, I mean, Lord help us with this mentality. Let's see. Oh, Asia, how are you? Hope you're doing well. See, Doc M, how you doing? Doc M reporting kids back to school today here, back to a sense of normal for some. At least nothing being thrown across the Gulf for the time being. Thank you very much for that report, my friend. And that's what I've been hearing from other folks in the region as well. Right now, it's been quiet. But is it the calm before the storm? Is it like DJT said, we're just reloading the ships? Both sides are just biding their time, using the time to reload, rearm, get everything resupplied. You know, get some more carrots and some more spam loaded up on board. Okay. All right, so let me just go around to my sites here, see if anything's breaking while I'm sitting here talking. Again, from Al Jazeera, Iran says no plans for talks amid tensions over U.S. seizure of cargo ship. So if Trump sends a delegation and Iran doesn't, who are they going to negotiate with? You know, I guess they'll hang out with Field Marshal Munir from Pakistan, code name Lionel Richie, because he was up all night long trying to put a peace deal together between J.D. Vance, Witkoff, and the Iranian foreign minister. What was wrong with that situation? The field marshal was and is talking to the wrong person. Okay, so if you're just joining me, let's go back over this article, double tap this, just in case you just joined us, right? Coming from the New York Post, but they got it from a think tank in D.C. Islamic Guard takes full control of Iran, sidelines moderates, according to analysts. Iran's hardline Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps leader has effectively taken control of Tehran's military and negotiation team over the weekend. I don't think it happened over the weekend. I think it just starting to go public over the weekend. This dude's been in charge for a while. IRGC Commander Major General Ahmad Bahidi Why does he look familiar? Because we've been putting his face on the screen for a couple weeks now. That's him right there. Again, could be the butcher of Baghdad, but he did serve, according to this, as the Minister of the Interior for a few years. Got some civilian government experience. That's a good thing, right? So anyhow, that's the guy in charge. More people are starting to come on board the theory, or at least publicly put it out there. And so if we know this, well, obviously DJT knows this. In all of the charades of going to these peace talks, it's just been part of the play, part of the plan, which sort of makes it scary. It sort of makes it scary that if DJT obviously knows he's publicly negotiating with the wrong damn people, what sense can you make from that? The sense is they're just reloading the ships and they're about to hit them round 2. Operation Dawn Sledgehammer or Noon Sledgehammer. What it used to be, or it was Midnight Hammer, right? Well, this is going to be Sledgehammer. Something of that nature, if I had to guess. Okay, let's go to different perspective. How about we do a drive-by at CNN, see what they're reporting. Let's see. Doubts grow over talks. Okay, they're reporting a strong earthquake has hit off of Japan's coast. A tsunami warning has been issued. The article was updated 3 minutes ago. Basically, a 9.8 foot tsunami warning has been issued for Japan after a strong 7.4 magnitude earthquake struck off the northeastern coast. About a week or so ago, there was another quake down off the coast of Mindanao, somewhere near Davao, somewhere down there. I'm not looking at it, but there was a quake down there, and then not too long ago, there was a quake not too far from Fatima's village again, like a 5 point something. We talked about that. Let's do a drive-by of the Washington Post. Let's see what they got to say. Oil prices jump and markets sink after U.S. seizes Iranian vessel. And this is on a local level there in the U.S. Man facing divorce kills 8 children, including 7 of his own, in a shooting rampage. The gunman is dead, and his brother-in-law said he was distraught in a recent conversation about his breakup. The Louisiana shooting was the country's deadliest mass killing in 2 years. Kills 7 of his own children. All right, let's move on. Let's check. This is from a website called Iran International. Don't know nothing about them, but Iran says no plan for talks as Pakistan prepares to host the U.S. delegation. So it looks like the Americans are going to go over there and hang out with Field Marshal Munir, listen to some Lionel Richie. But it don't look like anybody from the Iranian side is going to be present. Reuters is reporting that 10 Indian ships crossed the Strait of Hormuz safely. Let's go over there and take a quick look. Okay. The whole world has stared at this tracker intently, way too long. Too much of our lives, we've been staring at these red and green arrows. Okay, but it does appear that There's still a couple of more lining up. So again, whoever they want to let through, or whoever pays a little bribe, gets through. Okay, so here we go. We were just talking about Lionel Richie, codename Lionel Richie, Field Marshal Munir. Let's see. Trump says he will consider Munir's view on Iran ports blockade. And from what I heard, for whatever reason, they get along. You know, I don't know if they say they like each other or what have you, but they seem to get along with this field marshal for whatever reason. U.S. President Donald Trump told Pakistan's army chief Asim Munir he would consider concerns about the Strait of Hormuz blockade during a phone call, a Pakistani security source told Reuters on Monday. Trump and Munir discussed the issue in a phone call, and Munir told Trump the blockade was a hurdle to peace talks with Iran, the source said. So yeah, it seemed to be buddies. You're talking to him on the phone. This guy's done a lot of work to try to put things together. But again, you just don't see it. You got the hardliners in charge, military guys, not listening to any of the civilians. Do we really think they're going to allow the U.S. to just come over there and take custody of their uranium? I just don't see that happening. And if I put myself in their shoes, it'd be a cold day in hell before I let anybody come take that stuff. So we're at a stalemate. Nobody's going to budge on that. There's going to be a fight over that uranium. You can't just leave it there and watch it with satellites till the end of time. Okay, so here's another perspective from Iran. Iranian ships are not bound by the U.S. naval blockade. He said the blockade is meaningless. This is somebody from Iran's parliament. In our view, this blockade is meaningless, and we do not consider ourselves bound by it. That is why our ships are passing through and are ignoring this blockade. Let's see, they invoked the Islamic legal principle of retribution, saying we will carry out that's a little bit violent there. Talking about if they capture any American. Let's move forward. He said he was not optimistic about any agreement with the U.S. and accused Washington of violating the ceasefire. They don't seem to be... But here's the thing. Even if the civilians or anybody in Parliament wants to cut a deal, you can't say that publicly. How could you say that publicly with all these military folks? Got snitches in there. If you say anything about, yeah, let's deal with the Americans, now you feel fear for your own safety. Our uranium is as sacred as our soil. Coming from the foreign minister. They ruled out any transfer or dilution of its enriched uranium stockpile. They're just not going to do it. At least not now. They're too confident. You could use the word cocky. They're way too confident at this point in the game. It seems like it's going to take a round two of the stick. At least a round two. But even after round two, who's going to voluntarily let the U.S. come dig that stuff up? And they refer to it as national assets. Our national assets should be treated with the same importance as the lives of citizens. Now, uranium is just as important as the lives of our people. Okay, so we were talking about the internet earlier. Iran limits internet to favored groups as the shutdown hits 52nd day. So there's just selective access to favored groups, you know, family, friends, what have you, while the masses are cut off from the internet. Okay, Pakistan has deployed 20,000 personnel for security ahead of potential Iran and U.S. talks. 20,000 across Islamabad. But it don't seem to be anybody showing up but the Americans. Okay, so again, coming from somebody else, the missile program is not open to negotiation. I guess it comes down to who you want to believe. Who you want to believe, but looking at the overall situation, folks, how is any of these issues, how is either side going to budge on any of these issues? And it's just a question I put out there to everybody in the chat. The question asked yesterday was, are you okay with the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps having 10 nuclear weapons? I'm going to put a poll up. I know how to put a poll up. I'm going to put up a poll. Just ask the question, are you okay with the IRGC having 10 nuclear weapons? If you say yes, okay, I'll listen to any and all of your arguments about, you know, we shouldn't be there, or the U.S. shouldn't be there, Trump's crazy, you know, the U.S. are pirates. If you say yes, it's okay for the IRGC and General Ahmad Vahidi to have 10 nuclear weapons in a relatively short period of time, okay, let's debate. Let's talk about it. But if you say no, under no circumstances should the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps possess 10 nuclear weapons, then how do you prevent them from doing that? You can't ask them. They're not going to comply. You can't tell them. They're not going to comply. You have to make them through military force. So it's one of those where you got to take a side, I think. Everything else is sort of debatable. Maybe they could give and take a little bit. But the nuke option, the nuke issue, is like all or nothing. To retap it in my expert research, you only need to enrich uranium to what, 3 to 5% to put in a commercial reactor. They went to 60. Even my redneck relatives, I'm a redneck too, so I can talk about rednecks all I want to. Even I understand that. It costs money to take it from 3% to 4% to 5%. It ain't free, right? It costs more money and time. So you get to 5%. It'll fuel the reactor to make electricity. Why would you go any further? They went all the way to 60 is the general consensus of the people who are experts. They're trying to make a bomb. They're trying to make 10 of them. Do we want them to have 10 nuclear weapons? No. Okay, so the professor brings up a good point. So why does Israel have nukes? I'll reiterate what I said yesterday. Number one, in a perfect world, none of us humans would have nuclear weapons. My gosh, for the first time in human history, at least this go round of history, maybe there was a few resets, ancient technology we don't quite understand, but this go around, for the first time, we have the ability to destroy us and most of the planet. Why do we need that capability? Okay, I'm well aware of the Manhattan Project and the history and all of that. But what would have been wrong with, Russia basically got the information. So, okay, there's two people in the club at that point. We just go to them and say, hey, look, this is dangerous. Let's make an agreement. All right, we know you got it, whatever. You know we got it. Let's just make an agreement. If we patrol the world, and under no circumstances does anybody else have it. Okay, we got this little phone. It's painted red, straight to the Kremlin. Y'all got a phone that's painted red, straight to the Oval Office. If there's any problems, let's pick up the phone and talk ourselves out of destroying planet Earth and humanity. Now, how many hotlines do you have to have on a desk? I don't think my desk is big enough. Without Googling it, what is it, 9 countries? Is it 9 countries that have nukes? We just looked it up the other day. That's 9 too many, or however many it is. But wouldn't the world be a better place if we just put the Wabash on more and more people joining the club back in the 40s and 50s? Made it known. After World War II, anybody who attempts to build a nuclear weapon, the U.S. and the USSR will attack you, will destroy you. We're the only ones going to have it. It's not fair, but life ain't fair. So, it's not a perfect world. But in this situation, do you want these individuals to have 10 nuclear weapons? It's not a maybe, it's a yes or no. If your answer is no, how are you going to enforce the policy that you just made? Imagine you're the president, right? Make a decision. Are you okay with them having 10 and keeping an eye on them and trying to talk to them? Or is your answer no? And if you say no, it's just like street cops. It's just like police officers, right? Police officers, man, most of the time people don't want to see you coming. You're the bad guy. But you know what? That street cop who's arresting your ass for whatever, he's not the one who made any of those damn laws. It's the educated fools sitting down there in their suit and tie who come up with these grand ideas. And the dude that's over there barely making above minimum wage, having to fight people every night, risking his life, he's just enforcing what the people in the suits put out there. The people with the suits making the laws would be useless unless they have somebody with a gun to go out and enforce their laws, thus law enforcement. So here you go. If you say no, they don't need 10 nuclear weapons, who are you going to send to enforce your policy? Who's going to do the dirty work? Who's going to go over there and dig up those compressed gas cylinders containing 60% uranium? Let me see if I remember right. Is it hexafluoride? Again, I said I admit it, I'm not a nuclear physicist. I'm not a nuclear scientist. I just play one here on YouTube occasionally. I don't even know if I pronounced that right, but I think it's uranium hexafluoride. Let me see here. I got to get that right. Somebody will accuse me of not knowing about nuclear fission and fusion and all that good stuff. Here you go. Iranian gas form in cylinders. There you go. Uranium hexafluoride. Contained within specialized, robust steel cylinders. According to this, at room temperature, it's a solid, but it converts to a gas at relatively low temperatures for the enrichment process. So then we go to, all right, so the U.S. is not going to budge. They are not going to have nukes. We got to go over there and get that uranium. And they're not going to agree. What a nightmare. How are you going to do it? Even if they agreed, you know, in a fantasy world, this guy here, where's he at? Not that guy. This guy here. In a fantasy world, this guy here says, yeah, you know what? I give up. You Americans, come over here. I'll give you all the uranium. My goodness. You just come get it, but y'all got to dig it up. Y'all got to put gas in the excavators, which ain't never going to happen. Isn't it already a sort of a dangerous mission to go over there with experts, peacetime conditions, after the battle damage that those facilities have taken? How do we know these cylinders aren't damaged and half of them haven't leaked that shit out all over there? Okay. It seems to me that everybody's quite confident that they are there and they are intact. That's just the feeling that I get, that everybody knows they're there. Okay, so, you know, they took out the centrifuges, whatever, but these were buried at a much deeper level. It just seems like everybody knows they're there, they're intact. So what do you do? Because if they suspected that stuff had been damaged, half of it, some of it had been damaged, would anybody be in such a big hurry to go over there and dig that shit up? Or would everybody be scratching their heads and saying, we just need to leave that shit as is, put a concrete dome over it, and nobody go anywhere near there? And Guitar Jams brings up a good point. How do we know those cylinders aren't hidden somewhere else? I don't know. I just watched an interview of the gentleman, one of the scientists with the International Atomic Energy Association. I believe that's his title. Well, I don't know what his title is, but that's who he was with. According to him, it's in gaseous form. There would be evidence in the atmosphere if they were damaged. Yes, I don't think they're damaged. I think they're just under the rubble. Everybody knows they're there. They're okay. Now it's a race to see who can go over there and dig the shit up. You know, if the U.S. military goes over there and secures it and starts digging the shit up, and they send a couple drones, what a mess. That's the stalemate, and that's what Trump said. That's the thing he's not going to negotiate on. It don't seem like the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Commander Major General Ahmad Vahidi, who has allegedly taken control of Tehran's military and negotiation team, don't seem like he's the type of guy to just call DJT and says, yeah, man, come on over here. I'll give it to you. You know what I mean? So we'll play a couple rounds of golf, and then we'll stop by and throw that shit in the trunk. You can have it. Oh, man, you I certainly appreciate that. General Vahidi, man, you know, everybody makes you out to be a tough guy. You're the nicest dude, man. Yeah, so let's see. Kuya Steve, how are you? Okay, somebody said, okay, again, there would be evidence in the atmosphere. We've already flown our nuke sniffers aircraft over Iran. Yeah, so again, I'm not privy to all the sensors and all the information that they know, but it just seems like, all the open source reporting and deductive reasoning that the stuff is intact. Now it's just a question, how do we go get it? And then let's go past the question, right? Trump has said that's the one thing, the main thing he's not willing to negotiate on. They will never have a nuke. So ask ourselves this. If somehow the U.S. did go over there and take that material and get it out of there, would it then be truly over? Trump said before, all I got to do is leave the strait. It'll open up naturally. It might be tolls or whatever, some extortion, but it'll open up because they make money. So if they go over there and remove that material, then what are we fighting over? Yeah, it's about oil, but the immediate problem that nobody's going to negotiate on is the uranium, seems to me. But what do I know? I'm just a dumb redneck from the backwoods of Mississippi. All right, so I'm going to take a pause and just take a look at my streams here. So it looks like I'm still live on Instagram. Everybody on Instagram, thank you very much for joining me. I don't know nothing about Instagram or Twitter. I got off of all these sites years ago. I just post videos and live stream on YouTube. But it looks like I'm operating in the green. Let's go over to Facebook. On this Facebook page, looks like I'm still operating in the green. Been live for an hour and 52 minutes. Okay. Now what happens if I click on this thing? I'm scared to click on it. I don't know what happens if you click on it. Maybe I'll try it later. Okay, it looks like on Twitch. Live now. Overstay Road is streaming. Now it's got a thing that says watch now. Well, I am watching myself. Okay, I'll bite. Okay, so if you click watch now, like it was cutting me off like that, I click watch now, now it's a full stream. Or it's a full video. Actually looks pretty good on Twitch. Pretty good quality there. And looks like I got one follower. Thank you very much. Whoever my follower is on Twitch. Let me see if I can figure it out. See, I see first time chat. I don't know how to see who my follower is. Pardon my ignorance, but I really didn't know what Twitch was this morning when I sit down to try to figure it out. Still learning. 53-year-old pirate. How do you know if you're a pirate? You just are. Okay, the countdown timer that I have on the screen is not properly labeled. But that red countdown timer is when the ceasefire is supposed to expire, supposed to end. Me and my buddy had this debate, and we said, well, now that both sides have clearly violated the ceasefire, isn't the ceasefire over already? That's the question. We were a little bit confused on the rules, the ink on paper of how ceasefires work. I thought, well, pretty much if somebody violates the agreement, they violated the ceasefire, well, you're cleared hot to go back to fighting right then. That just brings more suspicion that all this is already in play. They're just reloading the ships. There's already a plan of action. They're just biding their time, where we can say, hey, we gave you all the time in the world. You violated the agreement. We held up our end of the bargain, other than seizing your cargo ship there. And so now we have every right in the world to hit you with Operation Morning Sledgehammer. Instead of Midnight Hammer, it'll be Morning Sledgehammer. I'm just speculating like Ron Burgundy, my friends. Okay, so hour and 55 minutes into the stream, everything seems to be operating as planned. Okay, so Anthony says, has America broken the ceasefire as the blockade is separate? Well, again, just trying to explain it to my relatives. If I were sitting around, we're just country people, simple people, drinking beer. I say, well, let me get this straight. Iranians shot at some Indian folks. Yeah, well, sounds like they broke a ceasefire. And then you say our side shot their engine room out. Well, sounds like they broke it too. Don't sound like there's much of a ceasefire anymore. That's just a simplistic interpretation. That's what me and my buddy were talking about today. Why wait until that red timer runs out? It's pretty much irrelevant. Everybody, I would say, nobody has complied with the ceasefire. Period. Full stop. Did anybody ever actually comply with the ceasefire? Nah, not really. I'm tired of putting timers up there. I'm tired of trying to figure out the exact date and time that this dude puts it on a deadline. The one deadline, he actually put a date and a time, Eastern Standard Time, so we knew clearly what the date and time was. The rest of them, he says 2 weeks. Dude, 2 weeks from what? From when the original deadline runs out, or 2 weeks from now? Everybody's got to try to figure it out. I'm tired of doing the math. You know what I mean? Especially when it comes to time and date. I got a 12-hour time difference. I'm tired of the countdown timers. My old lady said, too much blah, blah, blah. Just go ahead and bomb them. They're going to do it anyhow. Let's see, Guitar Jam says I should go back to barbecuing. Oh, I'm going to do some barbecuing here soon. One good thing, folks, about doing what I'm doing, all these streams, it's caused me to become more proficient with this equipment, which, my generation, I'm not used to all these buttons and settings, and my gosh. But all these mistakes that I've made over the past 2 weeks because of the Strait of Hormuz mess has caused me to be able to operate this equipment more efficiently. I mean, look at this. Now I'm up on 4 platforms streaming simultaneously. After tomorrow, I should have 5. It says something about making a professional account on Twitter. I don't know what the hell that means. Yeah, I am a professional barbecue chef. In which I can apply these honed, enhanced skills. I can apply this to my barbecue shows. Now it's not such a big deal setting up multicamera, different angles on the dangle, and getting it set up more efficiently. Live streaming my barbecue operations to 5 platforms at the same time. My goodness. And again, if you asked me to do the same shit tomorrow, I wouldn't even know where to begin. I have no idea how I got this stuff running. Radley says, how are we going to get the job done? All this procrastinating is interrupting Big Pumpkin's supply of chicken feet. Folks, I'm looking forward to it. As soon as we get to the new location, I'm keeping that under wraps at this point. But I told y'all I had issued a warning order to Big Pumpkin. Be ready to displace, yada, 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 within a general time frame. There has been an operations order issued. So we do have an op order. We're going to be displacing out of the suburban neighborhood in the near future. So once we get to get to where we are going, I'll be back on that barbecue grill with different angles, 5 different streams broadcasting at the same time, and we're gonna have a chicken feet eating contest between Big Pumpkin and her competitors are yet to be named. I'm gonna keep them as classified until further, but she's got some stiff competition. I'm telling you, she's got some stiff competition. But Big Pumpkin seems to think that she's going to win that competition. She's not worried. It don't matter who we put up against her. If there's 2,000 pesos reward, she will nibble more chicken feet than any of her competitors at a faster rate. So, let's see. Kel says it's a gamer thing. I don't know. I have no idea what Twitch is. I just looked in the software and, it has a, sign in where you can add it as another stream going out. I said, okay, where's another platform to stream to? I don't know what Twitch is. Maybe it is about video game, playing Call of Duty. I don't know. I'm sitting here talking about real life. This is IRL, in real life. Okay? This thing going on in the strait over there is screwing up real life. Okay, Mike and Glad says we really enjoyed your live typhoon coverage also. And you know what? I'm going to do from now on any type of typhoon coming this way. I will go live. Because it does provide value to a lot of people. If they can't get a hold of their family, they can look at the live stream and look at my trees and be like, oh, shit, ain't nothing going on in Angeles City. They're fine. They just got low bat or they're out drinking Red Horse. And, for the most part around here, we don't have that destruction that other areas of the country see. So I will continue to do that. But then Mike and Glad says Twitch is a gamer platform. I didn't know. Maybe I should have Googled it before I spent the time getting hooked in there. Let me go see if I'm still... Yeah. I'm sitting here looking at the Twitch feed right now. The quality is good. There's no stuttering. I mean, it looks like their platform's pretty stable there. And, over 2 hours streaming, no problems. Picked up 1 follower on Twitch. Thank you very much, my friend. A couple people, let's see, Lichon Bad Boy says, hi, Marquitos, good evening. So, folks, I'm up on Twitch. I don't play video games, but I'm up broadcasting live on Twitch. And I'm going to keep stacking the cool. Every time I can figure out how to plug one in, I'm going to plug one in. There's some, isn't there something called Kick? Is there a thing called Kick? I think I read something about that platform called Kick. Maybe that's a video game platform too. I don't know. But what it does is, even though you're sending out additional feeds, it does take up additional bandwidth. It's not like you're broadcasting out one stream and then the servers are sending it out. I don't know exactly how it works, but like every time you add a destination, it requires more and more bandwidth, but I ain't worried about it. I got a gig up and a gig down. It's only sucking like 40 up. I got 1,000. I got plenty of horsepower left. No, I haven't tried Kick. I just remember the name. I just saw the name, so maybe I'll look that up. More real life streaming. I'll have to take a look at it. Because again, you know, I got 1,000 megabits up, and realistically, like it's probably running like 600 right now. I'm only using 40. I got plenty of room for more destinations to stream to. Okay, Oasia says Twitch is mostly streaming gamers, but other live streamers use it as well. Rumble and Kick have more than games and less censorship than YouTube. Okay, no, I have a Rumble account. I was posting on there for a while, but it just got to be, I don't want to say I didn't have the time. It'd take me, 15 minutes to jam up a identical upload on there, but I just gave up on it. But you know what? Maybe I need to go in there and see if I can be a live streaming Rumbler. Rumbler says it sounds a lot better than a YouTuber. I could be a Rumbler and a kicker. If you grew up in Texas, you know what a kicker is. I'll take that. Rumbler and a kicker. All right, so let me just take a peek at Al Jazeera here. Again, no plans for talks. Iran says no plans for talks. Shipping remains at a virtual standstill, other than the onesies and twosies getting through the strait there. Iran says no talks with the U.S. for now, casting doubt over Pakistan's efforts. And if you're just joining me, let me just put my article back up there. Let's just make sure this stays front and center. That's who we've been saying all week, or a couple weeks now. That's the guy in charge of Iran, and now think tanks are starting to publicly agree with us. So there's your headline there. Islamic Guard takes full control of Iran, sidelines the moderates. This is according to analysts at some think tanks in Washington, D.C. The IRGC commander, Major General Ahmad Vahidi, and members of his inner circle have allegedly taken charge of the Islamic Republic. There he is right there. Does he look familiar? He should, because we've had his mug on the screen for 2 weeks now. So that's the dude in charge. He's a hardliner. He's a military guy. I think it's safe to say he's not too interested in voluntarily giving the Americans their enriched uranium. It's going to be a sticking point, to say the least, under any negotiations. So how do you get around it? You're basically going to have to destroy most of that organization. Okay, they've taken out their surface navy, most of their aircraft. We're going to see what happens during round 2, what they have. But you got to degrade most of the entire organization where nobody's afraid of them from the inside anymore. Right now, everybody on the inside is scared to death of these folks, right? So you got to degrade that organization where the locals are no longer scared of that dude right there or his organization. Easier said than done, I will agree. Okay, hold on. Maybe I put myself on there twice. Yep, if I push that button twice, you're looking at me twice. Let's see, the U.S. Army, this is not news, but the article says, what's behind the U.S. Army's decision to raise the enlistment age to 42? What was it? What was it, at 35? I don't even know. It's according to Al Jazeera. United States Army announced last month that it would raise the maximum age at which Americans can enlist from 35. Boom, OSD was right on the money. Right on the money with the enlistment age and the uranium hexafluoride in a gaseous form. From 35 to 42 to expand its pool of eligible candidates amid recruiting challenges in recent years. Let's see. Was that AR 601 TAC 210 dated March 20 outlining the changes, including the elimination of rules requiring anyone with a single conviction for marijuana possession or drug paraphernalia to obtain a waiver. It's a waiver for everything with the U.S. government. Always a waiver. Let's see, here's what we need to know about the changes. Takes effect Monday, April 20th. So if you're thinking about joining the U.S. Army and you thought you couldn't do it because you were 36 years old, well, guess what? Monday, April 20th, you can be up to 42 years old and join the U.S. Army. And does that apply to, yep, applies to the regular Army, Reserve, Army National Guard. But the changes are only specific to the U.S. Army. Other branches of the military looks like they've already it's confusing. Other branches such as the Air Force, Navy, Coast Guard, and Space Force, which accept enlistees in their early 40s. I don't know if they got their facts straight or not. Left that vague, but they were pretty clear. They raised it in the Army to 42. Some in the online community joked that older supporters of the war would now be able to enlist. Okay, again, Iran says no plan for talks as Pakistan is preparing to host the U.S. delegation. It's a one-sided party going down in Pakistan. Like, why go? I mean, you go hang out with our Pakistani friends over there, talk about it. Now they're saying now the VP, J.D. Vance, Steve Witkoff, and Jared Kushner will attend the talks. But then I heard that he wasn't going to go. I don't know what the latest is. Is J.D. Vance going or is he not? CNN's reporting the USS Gerald Ford left the Mediterranean and is now operating in the Red Sea. So, folks, those are the updates. Those are the updates. Again, a 7.5 magnitude earthquake hits off the Japanese coast with a tsunami alert issued. Okay. I don't think I'm going to make this a marathon stream. Okay. We're pretty much caught up on everything. I think the big takeaway of today's talk is what? That dude right there is running Iran. We've been saying that for 2 weeks. Pretty clear. Everybody else they've been negotiating with is just a waste of time. They're not in positions of authority to make deals. So what do you do at this point? Do you start negotiating with the military strongman who is never going to give you that nuclear material? Never. Or do you continue with the next phase of military operations? I just put the question out there. But from a deductive reasoning and logic standpoint, how is there any other way to solve the situation diplomatically, politically, with the players who are involved? And the only answer is through military force. Unfortunately. Okay, so let's just change gears for a second here, right? A couple streams back, weren't we talking about how Joe Rogan had spoke out against DJT, some negative statements about the war and this and that, right? You heard, I don't know what he said, I can't remember. He put out some chismes about old DJT that didn't sound too wonderful. And then here you go right here. Like the next thing you know, old Joe Rogan's standing in the Oval Office up there signing, and Trump signing some type of executive order to expedite the review of breakthrough psychedelic therapies. Doesn't the timing on that just sort of make you go, Oh, Joe Rogan says a few negative things. Not a time for him to be saying negative things. Hey, man, come on up here to the White House. What you want? Well, can you sign this shit on psychedelic therapies? Yeah, whatever. Just stop talking shit about me. Come on, man. Goddamn. I don't know that that's what happened. I'm just speculating. But I did read something briefly that said Rogan had said some things against the war, against Trump, whatever. And next thing you know, he's standing up in the White House. All right, I'm going to do two things. I'm going to check my streams, make sure everything's up on my multiple platforms here. Looks like I'm still going good on Twitch. Twitch has got a real good feed. Real good solid feed, good to go. Facebook looks like blurred, like it's I'm operating off a dial-up. Zuckerberg, not impressed with his shit. Man, how blurry does that look? Now Instagram is a little bit better. But the best one, well, after YouTube, is Twitch. Got a real good stream going there. No problem. Okay, so that all looks good. I'm going to go to your comments for a little while, and then I'm going to go watch a Western movie with Big Pumpkin. So let's just talk and read some comments, and then I'm going to call this one Iraqi good. Iraqi done. Let's see, Ben Shapiro is 42. He can now join up and fight for the war he keeps cheering for. I've heard the name. I don't really know who the dude is. Yeah, he does confuse the heck out of all of us. But you know, the thing about DJT is he is a genius and master at directing our attention, maintaining our attention, redirection. He's good at it. A lot of it, he just does it by flooding the stream, saying crazy shit. He gives us plenty of stuff to talk about. And he keeps your attention where he wants it and away from where he doesn't want it. I mean, I don't know nothing about this bill that he just, or this executive order he just signed. I just knew there was some chismes coming from Joe Rogan. Next thing you know, the guy's standing up there in his office, you know, applauding him. Hey, he's the greatest guy in the world. That shit I said yesterday, I didn't mean that. I had a few beers. I wasn't even talking about him. Okay, what movie are we gonna watch? You know, we just we sit there and search YouTube like 5 or 10 minutes. We'll come up with one. We watched one last night. It was called Something on the Mountain, and it was set during the end of the Civil War. So the Civil War had ended like in the first 10-20 minutes of the show, and then their father came home from the war, but right before he did, a group of bushwhackers, you know, like it was a collection of just criminals and bandits and deserters from both sides, and they're just you know, just a gang of thieves, took over their house. And in the movie, they had helped a Union soldier. And then I won't give up anymore, but I think it was called Something on the Mountain. That doesn't really narrow it down, but a great movie. Folks, that's all we watch. We watch Westerns, we watch classic movies, World War II movies, all the movies, the best movies in the world. They're free on YouTube. Especially if you're in the U.S. or you're running the U.S. VPN. You got all those free movies. They got ads, but big deal. If you don't run the VPN, then you got to just find the ones that get through the filters and stuff. We watched one, Elvis, the other night. What was it called? Trouble in the Country? I think that was what it was called. But what was funny is that they uploaded the movie, and they didn't hit it or... Well, they obviously did. They didn't hit it with a copyright claim, but they hit the individual songs sang by Elvis within the movie. So every time Elvis would start singing in the movie, it's edited out, you know, because the uploader got copyright claims from 3 or 4 Elvis songs. So you just click edit that out. So it's, you know, 2 minutes of silence. Other than that, you know, good quality upload. Hey Butch, how are you? Checking in from Guam. I know this is off topic, but it would be cool if you did a live stream about the recent missing scientists and the UFO disclosure talk. The Bob Lazar. Yeah, that's a topic that I'm big into. and let's see, I think I just saw a recent article. There's been a lot of former nuclear scientists and or experts, some folks suspected of being part of the UFO program. But so far, the number I'm seeing is 11. There's been 11 nuclear / space linked scientists that have either suspicious deaths or disappearances. So it's made its way up to Congress. The House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer warned Sunday that something sinister could be happening after 11 scientists, mainly tied to the U.S. nuclear and space research programs, reportedly died or went missing under mysterious circumstances. He said when he first heard about the disappearances, they sounded like some kind of crazy conspiracy theory. But the details of the case changed his mind and prompted him to alert multiple government agencies. And he said, we want to piece this together. Sort of suspicious. Everybody's got an opinion, but maybe if it's 2, 3, 4, 5, okay, maybe they all like to go hiking while they're retired. But 11, I don't know how they're grouping them together. But missing or deceased figures include an experimental propulsion researcher. Now that is very suspicious. Experimental propulsion researcher. This sounds like some Bob Lazar stuff. Amy Eskridge, 34. Now this paragraph doesn't say if she's just missing or deceased, but 34-year-old propulsion researcher. That's suspicious right there. Retired Air Force Major General who's 68. A NASA scientist at 60. A contractor at 48. Astrophysicist at 47. MIT physicist at 47. So these are, relatively young folks. Here's a NASA engineer, 61. And then there's a few Los Alamos linked people, 53, 79, and 59. And a pharmaceutical scientist at 45. Now, if they just took the United States as a whole, I don't know all the details, but okay, if you just said in the entire United States, maybe not so suspicious, but that is a lot of people missing or deceased in the same field. Trump said, I hope it's random, but we're going to know in the next week and a half. I just left a meeting on that subject. Okay, so it's important enough for DJT to have a meeting, and they're discussing it. The National Nuclear Security Administration, NNSA. National Nuclear Security Administration. Man, how many agencies do we have? They're aware of reports related to employees of our labs, plants, and sites and is looking into the matter. National Nuclear Security Administration. Talking about the other day about how many laws are there in America. You should just be able to call up all 50 states and say, yeah, how many laws y'all have? Add those numbers up, and then somebody from the federal government give you a number, and you know exactly how many laws there are in the United States of America. It's an unknown number. How many federal agencies are there? I don't think anybody knows that either. Okay. One thing a little bit off topic, I don't know if you guys saw that, but they had this half marathon in China. Let's see if I can pull that up. Had a half marathon in China, and a robot won the race this year. Did y'all see that? Yeah. Not logged in, so I've got to sit through the ads like everybody else here. Let's see if we can pull up a news source. Okay, so this is in a race between humans and robots. Machines take the victory in a sign of advancements. And make sure this is a recent article. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. So last year's half marathon in Beijing ended in humiliation for the machines racing against human competitors. This year, things were very different. So not to get too far into what happened last year, but here you go. Can y'all see that? The robots have significantly improved over last year to the point they beat the human competition. Look at that thing go. Winner from Honor, a Chinese smartphone maker, completed the 13-mile race in 50 minutes and 26 seconds. And I guess what happened last year is that they overheated. You know, a lot of them overheated. The batteries overheated, or the battery ran down, what have you. Not this year. That damn robot ran that half marathon, so you'd have to make the assumption that next year it will run the full marathon and beat humans. We'll get off on a tangent on China here for a second. Okay, I tell this, a couple years ago, whenever it was, I was talking about how I saw in the Guinness Book of World Records that China had just broken a record for putting 10,000 drones in the air simultaneously, and that they were being controlled with one single laptop. And what the Chinese did, I might mess up the numbers a little bit, but to ensure that they got to 10,000, they added 150 or 200, in case a few failed. They wanted 100% to break that 10,000 record, which they did. Meanwhile, back in America, two companies got together as a team and tried to put 5,000 in the air, half of what the Chinese did. And, they had a few failures and they were short. It's like 4,900 and some change. And I may mess up the numbers, but you get the point of the story. It took two companies in America to try to get to half of what the Chinese did, and they couldn't pull it off. The Chinese just, throw a couple hundred more on there. No big deal. Make sure we get to that 10K. They did. So, this is 2 weeks ago from the Guinness Book of World Records. Okay, there you go right there. I'm not going to play it because I'll probably get a copyright, but there you go. So look at the numbers here. Most multi-rotor drones airborne simultaneously from a single computer. 22,000, what is that, 580? By a single computer. So just a couple of years ago, they did 10. Now they've doubled it. So, you know, fireworks shows will probably be a thing of the past in a few years. It'll be these elaborate drone shows. So, yeah, there's other videos too, how they've been doing recent drills with, you know, these robot dogs and all this stuff. But China is so far ahead of us. They're so far ahead of us in the technology, where they used to just have the capability to beat us in the manufacturing, but not the technology. Now they're beating us in both, beating everybody else in the world. So again, next year, those robots will run the full marathon without overheating, beating all the humans. They'll probably, their next goal will probably be 50,000 drones in the air with one single computer. I'd say in 1 year they'll do 50,000, because they hit over 22. You know, 25 is a nice round number. What's their next goal? I would say 50. So next year, the Chinese will put 50,000 drones in the air with one operator, one laptop. Okay, talking about the UFO stuff, you know, Trump has already sort of teased, he's, you know, it's going to come out real soon, real soon, real soon. You know, our attention spans are just so, we're so easily diverted to other things. So whenever the shit in Iran is going to get messy or not go real well or be ugly for a while, you know what Trump's going to do? They're going to release some disclosure on the UFO situation, and it's going to immediately divert all of our attention to whatever they disclose. Those videos that they disclose, the documents, whatever they put out, is going to immediately take most of humanity's attention away from what's going on in Iran, at least temporarily. And I'm not going to be sitting here doing videos staring at that map right there. That's a beautiful graphic. Beautiful, wonderful website. A lot of people on planet Earth, we've all been staring at this thing because it affects all of us. But let's be honest, if they did a drop right now with new videos, better resolution, nobody's going to be staring at this map. We're all going to be staring at the UFO videos. And so our attention will be easily distracted, diverted, averted away from the Strait of Hormuz. So it's coming, and he's going to play that card when he needs to take us away from talking about Iran. All right, so let me go around the horn, folks. Take one more comment, and then I'm going to shut her down. Go snuggle with Big Pumpkin, watch a movie. So again, it looks like I'm still live on Instagram. And, you know, you got to pardon my ignorance. I thought Instagram was just posting pictures, right? I didn't know you could live stream. I know now. Hey, everyone. I'm going to leave a comment here. Hey, everyone. See if y'all see the comment. Thanks for joining me on tonight's live stream. There you go. So Instagram's still up. I guess it's a little tight though. I need to scoot my camera back so I don't look so confined there. Again, the Facebook feed looks grainy as can be. I don't know why it's so grainy. It just looks like it's like a 140p on the resolution. But I'll say thanks everybody for joining me on the Facebook stream. And again, I don't know why the video feed is just not, maybe it's just, that's the average quality. I don't know. Twitch, jam up. That looks like a crystal clear feed, like I'm looking at my other screen here. So if you're on Twitch, my one new follower, thank you very much. You're the first follower on Twitch. I've been advised that Twitch is a video gaming platform, so maybe I'm in the wrong place. Maybe I'm hanging out in the wrong place, but hey, I'm here. I ain't playing no video games. I'm looking at real world stuff here. So thanks for joining me on Twitch. Twitter, I couldn't pull it off on Twitter. Elon Musk no-go me on this station. I got to go back to the drawing board tomorrow. But I'll almost guarantee you I'll be up streaming to Twitter till. It looks like 84 folks here on the old YouTube. So folks, with that, I want to say thanks for joining me. Key takeaway, we're all pretty clear as to who's in charge of Iran. The question is, what do you do from now? Do you negotiate with the guy? Do you just try to take him out? What's the next step? But I'm sure there will be some developments to talk about on tomorrow's show. So make sure you stay tuned. Big Pumpkin says I got to stop talking about the war. You stop talking that. Stop talking war. Stop talking politics. Nobody wants to hear that. So Big Pumpkin's trying to ban my news show. She's against it. But she can't shut me down. But just stay with me, because as soon as we get displaced, as soon as we get resettled at the new location, we'll be live streaming the barbecue, the chicken feet eating contest. And hopefully there's some type of peaceful resolution. I just don't see it. With the strait in the Middle East. Not talking about peaceful resolution with Big Pumpkin. Yeah, China is the way of the future. China is the future, and that's why I say when they take Taiwan, it's going to be like a... not going to be any rounds fired. There's just going to be drone submarines that come up, launch drone swarms. They sit down in the streets, making announcements. Hey, everybody remain indoors. This is the peaceful reunification. Don't approach the drones. They're armed. Everybody will go indoors. People who are already in Taiwan will take over the ministries. And it'll be done before any Chinese aircraft land at the airport. They're just building these landing barges, the same that we, use Patton's fake army up there to throw off the Germans. I think it's just going to be a drone takeover, peaceful as can be. They take over everybody's screens. Everybody knows what's going on. Oh shit, it's happening. It's going down. Remain in your house. Might not be any rounds fired. And just like that, the map will change. Why do you need to build landing barges? That's the deception. Just don't make no sense. Let's see, Wild to Be Me, how are you? War update. Iranian ship wouldn't stop, so the U.S. Navy fired into the engine room. Marines boarded it. Iranians say they're not going to the next peace talks. And it's coming out that this guy right here is in charge of the country, right there. Guy we've been putting up on the screen for a while. according to analysts and according to what I think most of us agree to. So it don't look like there's a real good chance for peace at this point. And this game, I call it a game, this situation is subject to change in 5 minutes, as we have clearly seen. I shut that one stream down. There were eight or nine ships heading out. Looks like everything was open. The minute I went and shut the stream down, they started shooting at them poor Indian folks. So we'll see. But it don't look like any lasting peace is coming anytime soon. Looks like Operation Morning Sledgehammer is coming their way. All right, folks, with that, I want to ask you to please hit that thumbs up or thumbs down button if you're on YouTube. The rest of them, I don't know what you do. I guess Facebook has a like button. I guess all of them have like buttons. Take some action. It helps out with all the squirrels inside this computer and their algorithms. But I'm going to shut her down. Because to tell you the truth, I don't know if I got to shut these streams down individually or if it's one button. I may be here for another 30 minutes trying to figure out how to shut these things down. That might sound a little bit crazy, but I don't know. I've never had multiple streams going out of this software. So folks, I'll see y'all tomorrow. Y'all have a good one. Hug your old lady, hug your kids. And me, I'm just thankful that I got another day with my old lady and the kids on this beautiful planet that we call the Earth. With that, I'll say peace out. I'm out of here. In broadcast. Let's see what happens.